Well, in the last few years, we've seen a massive increase in government support, particularly in the European Union and the United States, for agrofuels, primarily for driving, for cars. Now, what this means is conversion of tens of millions of hectares worldwide, much of it in the global south, to industrial monocultures to produce fuel for our cars. And this is having a devastating impact on communities, particularly rural communities who are facing displacement, in many cases human rights abuses, often appalling working conditions. Linked to plantation industry. It's also having a devastating impact on people's food sovereignty, food security, as we are currently seeing a devastating increase in global food prices. And it's also catastrophic in terms of accelerating global warming and speeding up the destruction of biodiversity, deforestation, and the destruction of the environment in terms of soil erosion, freshwater depletion, which is directly affecting communities now. In the UK, this month, on 15th of April, we've seen the introduction of mandatory biofuel blending. From now on, currently 2.5% of all fuel sold at UK filling stations has to be blended with biofuels. So we are one of many countries that is implementing this artificially created demand for biofuels. However, the UK, perhaps even more worryingly, are currently supporting European Union policies which will drive even faster expansion, which are looking really at new target, a new possibly 10% or even potentially even higher targets in the medium term between 2010 and 2020. So UK support for those policies is really at the moment triggering a real investment boom in worldwide, in plantations, in refineries. And what we fear is that the consequences of this investment will essentially, if it continues, it will essentially be irreversible. What we find, though, is that despite this overwhelming evidence, governments are pushing ahead with those policies. And we believe that this is primarily, the primary reasons behind that are A, corporate lobbying and corporate profits, and B, what is referred to as energy security, and really a desire to stabilize the price of oil and probably to try and forestall peak oil and delay peak oil happening. So it's very difficult to see that this now has anything to do with climate change other than making it far worse. And the UK is also host to a lot of the companies that are big players, particularly in energy companies like Greenergy, big oil companies, many of which are based, at least partly, in the UK. D1 Oil's Biofuels Corporation, now called East New Corporation. Then companies like Shell and BP that are, have a basis in the UK, that are very big players. We're seeing a very, very rapid expansion of the agrofuel industry, and people I've been speaking to from different countries are all saying that whilst a lot of us 2 years ago could see that those policies were pretty disastrous, we're all really taken back at the speed of the developments and the scale of it. What we really need is a real scaling up of the opposition to agrofuels, both in terms of, obviously, of creating awareness of what is happening, but actually at building very effective campaigning, protest movement, a movement against the agrofuel industry and against the policies driving it, and for an agrofuel moratorium. What we're really hopeful is that members of WDM and the many WDM groups will really support the campaigning against agrofuels in coming months. We see this will really us building on the support for climate justice.